We welcome you back to this edition of Tornado Talk here on Monday night, February 16th. You're live on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Got an exciting show ahead for you all this evening as we'll take a second to thank our corporate sponsors for this episode this evening. Before we get going talking about the week ahead and the week in review, we'll thank our corporate sponsors for this evening's episode. Bojangles, BSN Sports, Comporium, Earthling Coffee, Hampton by Hilton, Jets Pizza, UNC Health Party, Pepsi, Pinnacle Financial Partners, Platt, Prolific People, Suburban Propane, Subway, and Zaxby's. So thank you again to all our corporate sponsors for sponsoring us throughout this 2025-2026 athletic calendar, as we'll talk about the week in review real quick before we get started tonight. Women's basketball, 2-0 last week, a win over Mary Baldwin, a weird game on a Monday afternoon. The Tornadoes took care of business there, 86-48, and then went on the road this weekend to take on Southern Virginia, a game they had lost earlier in the season and handed Southern Virginia its first conference loss here in 2026. Brevard's men's basketball dropped a pair of contests on the road at Pfeiffer and at William Peace this past week. Brevard Track and Field, who we'll talk to tonight, had a great weekend out in Mill Spring, North Carolina at Tryon International, where Jackson Wilkerson headlined the Tornadoes with a fifth-place finish in the triple jump and many other great finishes that we'll talk about this evening as we'll get Coach Cam Eisenhower on the show here later this evening. Brevard softball played a pair of exhibitions, dropped 2 to Spartanburg Methodist on the road. They'll get going this weekend with Johnson and Wales. And Brevard baseball continued on what is a great start to 2026, a NCAA era best 6-0 start for the Tornadoes this season with a 2-game sweep over Berea. That third game got canceled. But looking forward to the week ahead, what a week it is. It's the busiest week since I've been here to my memory. We start tomorrow with Point men's lacrosse. It starts at 3 p.m. They dropped their first game of the season at home yesterday against Centenary, but looking forward to bounce back at 3 p.m. tomorrow against a Point team coming in for action tomorrow. Men's basketball also plays tomorrow night, taking on Greensboro at 7 p.m. and Saturday against North Carolina Wesleyan, a 4 o'clock tip. For Senior Day, women's basketball Thursday against Pfeiffer at 7 p.m. and then a 2 o'clock Senior Day matchup with North Carolina Wesleyan. Baseball on Friday will play a doubleheader. It was originally scheduled for that doubleheader to be on Saturday, but that has been moved. A doubleheader that will start at 11 a.m. against Capital, and then one more game scheduled, weather permitting, at 1 o'clock on Saturday, also against Capital. Women's lacrosse opens its season at home on Friday against Montreat at 5 p.m., and softball season opener doubleheader on Sunday against Johnson and Wales at 1 and 3 o'clock. So busy week ahead. Stick right here on YouTube for all that coverage. We've got a ton of events coming up at home. It's the crux of crossover season. The basketball teams wrap up their regular season. The women are in good position for the postseason, so looking forward to that. And we'll talk to Donald Hudson this evening as well. But without further ado, we'll welcome in a very special guest, our first of the night. It's right-handed pitcher Andy Farringer that we'll welcome into the show. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you, Ryan?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you. Some backstory here for the viewers that don't know. You were our intern for the first semester in athletic communications, and you also produced this show, and we're really grateful for your contributions. The whole operation is in good hands with Will Finney producing tonight, and we've also had other help from Eric Freed. So we appreciate your contributions there. But on the diamond, from a bird's eye view, what's been working for you so far in this 2026 season?
I think it's definitely just, all the guys working together. It's not – pitching's never a one-person type of thing. I'm a big ground ball pitcher, so I bank on a lot of my defense making plays for me. Without them, I couldn't do it. So I think it's definitely just trusting the guys. Everyone has each other's back and, just wanting everyone to succeed.
So you talked about the defense a little bit, but that's a defense that's been really good this year, both in the infield and the outfield. How much more confidence does that give you as a pitcher, knowing that if the ball is put in play more times than not, that defense is going to make a play?
Oh, it increases the confidence like crazy. If you know your defense is behind you, you don't have to worry about having to strike everyone out. You just kind of let them get themselves out because the guys are behind you.
So we talked after your first appearance against Johnson and Wales. You weren't feeling the best when you came out to take them out against the Wildcats, but you overcame that physical and mental battle. How did you do that in a day that you weren't feeling great? And, when you came out, it was back-to-back hits, but then you really buckled in and got the job done from there. How were you able to overcome those obstacles and deliver a good performance?
I think the experience that I have definitely helps. I've appeared in, I think, over 35 games or something as a Tornado. So just having a bunch of experience and just knowing that, like, it's not my first time I've been hit around. It's not going to be my last. That, like, I can just trust in my stuff and let those guys get me out again. I get a great defense behind me. I know the offense, even if I gave up the lead like I did against Johnson and Wales, we were going to go put up 8 more runs in the rest of the game. So it's not a big deal just letting a couple hits go.
So I've got to mention your delivery. I'd say it's about halfway between a submarine and a normal pitching motion. Was that always the case for you, or when did you discover that that's kind of what worked for you on the mound?
Well, I didn't pitch until my sophomore year of high school. I was always a middle infielder who threw from the side across the infield. It was just always comfortable for me, and that's how I did it. And then I just kind of became a really bad hitter in my high school years, and they discovered that I was a good pitcher. So it just went well on the mound and everything.
So throughout the early season, we've seen 3 different catchers behind the plate, the veteran Hunter Busquet, and then the 2 freshmen, Casey Shanks and Declan Duffy. As you know, pitchers and catchers, they really have to work together in tandem to deliver a good product. How have you built rapport? I know you already had that relationship with Hunter coming in the year, but these 2 new freshmen, how have you got to know them and built that relationship so you all can work in tandem together?
I think we just off the field here, we're just set up so well with how well everyone communicates and hangs out, and we're all best friends off the field. Where, like, I worked hard with those guys in the fall and, off the field, and they have my back, I have theirs. It doesn't really matter who's back there. I just know I can trust them. Some of the guys that y'all haven't seen are really good behind the plate too, that we work well. Christian Hobson, Cole Mobius, Parks Cleveland, just all really good at doing their job, and it's super easy to trust our guys behind the plate.
So on that note, this team seems to have a healthy mix of youth and experience. I think that shows on the field. You've got a lot of freshmen with poise this year. It doesn't seem like they're freshmen, but you can kind of see the differing styles of play all coming together to build this product. How do you feel that this season is a little bit different from last year where you guys were much more power-oriented? Now you've got a little bit of a mix of a bunch of different styles.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, last year, super power oriented. We had some great guys that had been here forever, and they were all amazing guys and really good at their jobs and did everything really good. But these young guys knew that they had to step up with us graduating almost the entire starting lineup, and everyone just kind of clicked. We have 15 guys going out there every weekend, and Coach Vinny Carone has the tough job of putting the right guys out there, but it seems like everyone is the right guy whenever they have to be that guy. So I think just working together off the field, on the field, everything's clicking right now.
So as one of the seniors on this team, how have you used your voice and your leadership skills to kind of mold this team and have them ready to go for 2026?
I've never been really good at talking to people. I'm just the guy that puts my head down and works super, super hard. And as a pitching staff, I think that's really reflecting right now. As you've seen, when sometimes we struggle a little bit, and just guys know to put their head back down and keep working hard. So I think we have our 3 other captains. They're all hitters, and they're all really good at speaking to the team and do that really well as working hard. But I just put my head down, and guys follow when I'm working hard.
So in the off season, I think the way baseball differs from other sports is when you play against each other, it's a little bit more structured than, let's say, basketball, where they go out and run 5-on-5. You're still able to simulate different things, but in baseball, you're in full uniform in fall ball, and you're playing it like an actual game. How did you use that against this offense that has some really talented hitters to kind of mold you and get you ready for this season?
I always think these inter squads that we do are tougher on pitchers because we're not going to change our pitches from week to week. They see us for whatever it is, 7 weeks in a row in the fall and the first 3 weeks in the spring. They know exactly what we have. So it really molds us as a pitching staff to just be competitive every single week, knowing that the hitters know what we have. And the hitters have faced some really good guys. We are really, really talented in this pitching staff, as we've seen early in this season. So I think that's also molded the guys to just know not to give up on each other when they're hitting, when things get tough. And then I think that's shown so far.
So as you mentioned, the offense helps with the confidence on the mound, knowing that they're going to get the lead right back if you happen to give it up. But also, I think another factor of that is there haven't been many quick innings in the bottom half so far this year, and I'm sure you enjoy that as a pitcher in terms of getting that extra rest. How does that help you as an arm, where you kind of just get to sit back and enjoy watching the offense while also remaining locked in, but also you get a little bit of a breather? How much does that help you as a pitcher on the mound?
Yeah, it gets stressful on the mound. So especially this team where it's all jokes and like everyone's having a blast in the dugout, it really settles some things between innings. Like that first outing that I had, that kind of a rough first inning, but the guys went and scored 3 runs after. Everyone's jumping around, laughing and yelling, having a good time, and that just like settles all the nerves for the rest of the outing for sure.
So the first time you stepped down the mound, you did great against Berea this past weekend, but a little bit of a added juice to this first matchup against your former assistant coach, Steve Huckey. I saw everybody hugging him and, having a good time with him after the fact. But coming in, what was that experience like for you, playing against the guy that you played for just a year ago? How was that experience for you?
I'm super competitive, so I just wanted to beat him, knowing that he was the guy that recruited me here. He was my coach forever, but just like going out there and beating him was a great feeling. I went over right after we finished BP, shook his hand, wished him good luck on the year, but right after that, it was time to go. He wasn't a friend anymore. He wasn't a coach. We were going to beat him for 3 games in the weekend, and then we go all joke around after that. The first thing he said was, I got hit around a little bit by his guys after that first one, because that hasn't really happened a whole lot for me. So he definitely enjoyed making that joke to me.
So on that note, with Johnson and Wales, it's a team that you came in really knowing nothing about what they had offensively, defensively, and pitching wise. What kind of challenge did that present for you as a pitcher? I know you got to see the lineup a couple times through before you came in, but it is different when you step out there on the mound. What kind of challenges did that provide for you coming into that outing?
I mean, our coaching staff did a great job of finding what we could. There was a couple of transfers on that team, so we knew who their base stealers were, who would bunt more, who would hit each way a little bit. But I think it really helped our team for the rest of the year that, like, it doesn't matter who's out there. If we can know nothing about them, we can know everything about them. You still have to play your game. You still have to compete as well as possible. So it just kind of shows that, like, it doesn't matter what the scouting report says. You still have to go out there and do what you can do.
So as you know, with this show, you probably know what's coming next in terms of personal questions, but I'll start by asking you, your work here and your degree that you're pursuing. What are you pursuing here at Brevard, and what do you hope to do when you graduate coming up?
I'm graduating with a major in exercise science and a minor in business, but kind of tailed away from that lately. As you mentioned earlier, I've been working with y'all in sports media and everything with my internships, and I want to work with a college program somewhere as a sports information assistant or something to start and just keep working towards that.
So I guess maybe some advice for those that come into school doing one thing and kind of have mid-college career change of mind when it comes to what they want to do. What's a piece of advice that you would give somebody who's considering shifting to another field when they come out of college?
I guess just it's never too late. I mean, so many people come into college being an independent major anyway. They don't know or undecided, whatever. And I think it just shows that, like, it doesn't really matter. There's still so much out there that you can get into. So it really doesn't matter you don't have to set in stone whatever you start with.
So on the diamond, who are some guys that you watched growing up? I know you said you're a middle infielder through most of high school. Who are some guys that you watched growing up that you try to mold your game after throughout your college career?
Well, I was born and raised in Jersey, so obviously middle infielder Derek Jeter was a big one. But I fell in love with the Nationals when I was younger because I watched Bryce Harper hit a 550-foot home run in the minor leagues when he was coming up. So he's my favorite player all time. I've stayed a Nationals fan, unfortunately, through these rough couple of years, but he's definitely one I watched growing up, and then Trey Turner being a middle infielder and watching the Nationals and stuff for sure.
So you probably knew this question was coming because I ask it every single time we have a new athlete on the show. But what does your pregame routine look like on a day that you know you're probably going to go out to pitch? You mentioned you're locked in from start to finish. What does that day kind of look like for you leading up to your appearance at the bullpen?
we start really early. We always have to be out there 3 hours before the game starts. So I'm big into waking up early, showering, and going straight to Dunkin' Donuts. I get the same order every time, just 3 vanilla frosted donuts with sprinkles. Come back here, get to the clubhouse at least 30 minutes before we have to be on the field. Listen to music with the guys, just kind of be loose, feel free. We go Shag BP for a while. I always have Lifesaver gummies and the same body armor every week, so that gets drank and eaten within the first couple of innings because I'm usually in around the 5th or the 6th in some games, so I have to be ready for that, but I always like to eat the same thing. I'm super superstitious, and then I always like running down to the field from the bullpen. It kind of gets like the juices flowing, and then, yeah, just make sure I don't step on the line to the last thing.
So one thing I noticed about baseball is the field itself. You take a lot of pride in that. You spend some time after the game taking care of the field and making sure it's in good shape by the time you leave. And I think that can be, transitioned into a life lesson as well, just taking pride in things that you do. What are some life lessons for you personally that you'll take away here after your college career?
I think the biggest one is just never getting too high, never getting too low. Baseball's the toughest sport in the world, I feel like, and you're going to get beat up and you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. You just kind of got to stay as middle as possible, and that's when I found the most success. So I think that's something that can definitely be taken. I've taken it to the classroom. I've taken it into other things. So I think definitely like going on in the world, that's the biggest one.
So lastly, back to the diamond and this schedule in particular, you welcome in a Capital squad who is arguably your biggest test yet. It's a team in 2 of their 3 wins so far this year, 3-0 record. They've scored 20 or more runs. What's it going to take as a pitching staff to keep this positive momentum going forward and do what you guys do best?
I think we just have to keep trusting ourselves, trust what we did coming into here. Nothing changed the fact that what we did in the spring. So we just kind of have to keep rolling with that. Coach Bill Sizemore, Coach Cam Cook really did a really good job of making sure that we're pounding the strike zone with fastballs and trusting that our fastball is good enough to get anybody out, and then everything breaks off of that. So I think we can't look at the score of another team's game. It's not like they faced our pitching staff yet, so we just have to keep doing what we're doing and rolling there with confidence.
Well, Andy, thanks for hopping on for a little while tonight. I had so much fun with you as an intern. I've enjoyed watching you on the field so far here in your senior year. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
All right. See you, Andy.
See you.
That is Andy Farringer, right-hand pitcher for the baseball team, and what a joy he has been to have him on the broadcast as well throughout the early basketball season before baseball really got going. He's been such a pleasure to have around. I've really enjoyed watching him this season. Again, baseball off to a 6-0 start, best NCAA era start in program history. Really great stuff from the baseball team. A sweep over Johnson & Wales, a midweek win over Guilford, and then 2 against Berea over the weekend. As we'll get ready to get our next guest in. He's had a great start to the season, a transfer from Mars Hill, Davis Sanders. He's played a lot of first base this year for the Tornadoes, and he hit a grand slam over the weekend. So with that being said, we'll welcome him into the show this evening. Davis, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good to have you on the show tonight, and congratulations again to a great start here in 2026. From a general standpoint, what has been working for you at the plate to generate this impressive start offensively?
Just kind of knowing that I've put all the work in I've needed to, knowing that the people behind me have my back, that there's no stress really to do anything more than I have to, and just going up there and relaxing and doing what I have done.
So we'll get the elephant out of the room early. 2 home runs for you throughout the first 6 games of the season. One of them blew the door open on that game against Berea, grand slam, part of a 9-run inning. In a game where the offense kind of went dormant for those middle innings, what was going through your head when you stepped up to the plate and launched that ball over the left field wall?
I just wasn't trying to do too much. Really wasn't thinking about hitting a home run at all. Just trying to go backside, just keep the lineup moving. Keep going. I know the guys behind me are going to hit too. Just trying to get on base any way I can.
So this offense has been off to an incredible start, to say the least. Double-digit runs in all but one game. Lucas Woodard tabbed Offensive Player of the Week after 11 for 17 week for him. How has this offense been able to generate this start, really clicking on all cylinders 1 through 9 in the lineup?
I think it's just everybody knows that the person behind them has their back. There's no pressure to do anything more than they need to. That no matter what, we've all put in the work this fall. We faced our pitching staff, which is obviously a really good one, and just everybody just does their own thing. Nobody's trying to do too much.
So really all aspects of the game have been working, as you mentioned, pitching, offense, defense so far this year. I asked Andy a similar question, but I'll flip the perspective to you. How much confidence does it give you as a hitter and the offense as a whole when you know that the pitching staff and the defense is going to come up and keep the other team off the board?
Oh, it's awesome. We have all the trust in our pitching staff. Even whenever we didn't score through that stretch, nobody was really trying to do anything extra. We were still relaxed, still had confidence in everything we were doing.
So through your 13 at-bats, you've only struck out once. You've worked a walk, at least one walk in every game so far this year. Even when you don't get a hit, how have you been able to keep that discipline at the plate and be productive in some fashion every time you step to the plate?
Just trying to swing at pitches I know that I can do damage with, knowing that even if I take a walk or hit by pitch, it's still a positive outcome, still helps the team, and still just helps us get base runners.
So one big thing I've noticed throughout the first 6 games of this 2026 season is how tight-knit you all are as a group. I mean, everybody seems to know everybody and have that similar relationship. For you as a transfer, how did you come in so quickly and build the relationships with these guys and be ready for 2026?
It was awesome coming into here. They welcomed me in right away. Everything just kind of clicked into place. The seniors did a really good job with it, and especially the captains. They all welcomed me in, hung out with them. Whenever they went down to the field and hit, they let us all know, and it was just happened really quick. It was really good.
So when you left Mars Hill, what about Brevard drew you here to come spend your last 2 years of college baseball?
It just looked like a really good environment. Talking to Coach Finney, everything seemed like it was going in the right direction. It had the kind of environment I wanted, kind of teammates. Everything seemed like it was going good here.
So after playing in 10 games last season for the Mountain Lions, obviously you come into this year asked to take on a bigger role. How did you get ready for this everyday starter role for the 2026 season?
Just kind of did the same thing I always do. It's all just knowing all the work we do in the fall, where everybody's ready to do whatever's asked for them, just making sure I've done everything I needed to, all about just knowing everything's in place to take on that role.
So how important were those fall ball scrimmages where you got to see this great pitching staff, really one of the better pitching staffs in the country up to this point? How much value did that hold for you as a hitter to be able to get those quality reps and be ready here for 2026?
I'd say it was really important. I think it got all of us ready. Great seeing that kind of pitching, especially every weekend. They know a lot about us. They know our weak points. They know how to pitch to us. It was just trying to really making us all better hitters, bring everybody up on the team.
So one big factor of this team this year, I'm not sure if you know this, but you guys are 5 stolen bases off the total from last season, 35 stolen bases, top in the country, and you had 40 as a team last season. You stolen 3 bases. How much of an impact does that speed on the base paths do with applying pressure to opposing pitching staffs?
I think it completely changed the game, knowing that's just another thing they have to worry about, not only having to throw a strike, but knowing they're going to have people behind them stealing bases, stealing a lot. Everybody out there has to step up. Pitchers have to throw better. Catchers have to be ready to throw down all the time. I think it brings a whole different aspect to it.
So you've seen a good bit of college baseball. I know you're new to Brevard in 2026, but how have you used your experience to kind of help guide some of these younger guys? I've seen a lot of the freshmen this year not look like freshmen. They look very poised, very controlled in the college game. How have you kind of used your experience to help guide some of those younger guys here early in the season?
Just kind of trying to help them any way I can, especially just to discuss a lot about situational stuff, trying to help them talk through a lot of things, just things with that.
So focusing on you personally, what degree are you pursuing here at Brevard, and what are you hoping to do after you graduate in 2027?
Pursuing a math degree, and I'm honestly not too sure what I'm going to do after I graduate from here. Still trying to search things there.
Well, good news is you got plenty of time, 2 years left to kind of decide what you want to do. But who are you off the field? What kind of hobbies do you have when you're not on the diamond?
I like to hunt a lot. I like to golf. Really big into golf. We go sometimes on Wednesdays they have the free range night. Go out there some. That's the main thing I get into.
So I ask every athlete this question. What does your pregame routine look like from the time you wake up to the time you get to Gilcone Field? What do those couple hours look like to get you ready? Are you superstitious? And do you have any specific music that you like to listen to?
I get up every day before we gotta be out there early. I think it's 3 hours before. I'll shower. I go to Dunkin' to get breakfast. Usually get the same thing there, just like a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant. Then I go to the field. Try to get there 20, 25 minutes early. Get time to just get dressed, take my time there. Then we go down, get to take our pregame BP. Spend an hour out there. Then we have a break. You try to go to the trainer, just get heat on my arm, get it warmed up, get everything feeling good. Then we have our team meeting, go back down, take our IO, and then really try to get locked in right there. Just take that time to really focus in on the game we're about to play.
So your first 6 games have been all at home. You got your first taste of Gilcone Field against Johnson and Wales. I know the weather's probably helped in terms of attendance. We've had some warmer days recently, but what has that atmosphere been like for you? A place where Brevard was very successful last season. How have you kind of used that home atmosphere to propel you throughout this year?
Atmosphere has been awesome. There's always people cheering for you, always people pulling for you. Just an awesome feeling knowing that there's people there, people pulling for you. You can look down the lines and there's always people out there. Just really cool knowing how many people are there to watch us.
So throughout your baseball career, I asked Andy this question as well. What are some lessons that you picked up that you can apply to not only baseball, but to life as a whole?
I'd say kind of just don't ever ride the ups and downs. There's always going to be highs and lows, and no matter what, you're going to get through them. There's always going to be something new ahead, and no matter how bad it seems right now, there's always something good to look forward to.
So you don't have a midweek. Actually, you guys do go down to take on the Clemson club team tomorrow, but you have most of the week to prepare for a really talented Capital squad coming to town, a team that's put up a bunch of runs offensively, pretty similar to you guys throughout the first few games of the season. How do you kind of keep the line moving here and keep the momentum up throughout the early season?
I think it's just we trust our pitching a lot. We know they're going to go out there and compete against all their hitters, know that we're going to go out there, play good, solid defense behind them. And then our offense, we just keep doing our thing, keep scoring runs. Doesn't matter which team comes into town or who we're playing. Just keep doing what we know how to do.
All right, Davis. Well, welcome to Brevard. Congratulations on a good start to 2026, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Sir, thank you.
All right, Davis. That is Davis Anders, transfer from Mars Hill University, where he has had a scorching hot start to the season, as have many Brevard College bats. Lucas Woodard is near the top in the country in batting average. He's the reigning USA South athlete of the week offensively. He's just been excellent, as have the Tornadoes, one of the top scoring offenses in the country, tops in team ERA as well. As I mentioned, everything seems to be working for the Tornadoes right now as they continue to go throughout 2026. Again, they cap off a big week here at Brevard, busiest week I've been a part of since I've been here, as the Tornadoes will take on Capital later this week, a Friday doubleheader starting at 11 a.m. And then Saturday, as scheduled currently, they're supposed to have one more game, but we'll see. With the weather, it seems like Saturdays have been common inclement weather days, as we had to cancel the last game against Berea that was supposed to happen on Saturday. But nonetheless, Tornadoes off to an NCAA era best 6-0 start this season. While we wait for our next guest, we'll preview him a little bit. Cam Eisenhower scheduled to join the show here in just a few minutes. He is the interim head track and field coach, also the director of cross country here at Brevard. He'll talk about the Tornadoes' start to this 2026 indoor track and field season as we head towards conference championships here in a couple weeks. The Tornadoes headed back to Mill Spring, North Carolina, to the Tryon International for an event this past weekend, and had a lot of top finishers. Another USA South athlete of the week for the Tornadoes on a big week. Brevard was mentioned multiple times in that athlete of the week category. Olivia Miller was also in there for women's basketball. But Jackson Wilkerson, who set a triple jump record in the USA South and a program record for Brevard as well, had an excellent weekend for the Tornadoes, as we'll talk about him and a couple others here once Cam joins the show. Still waiting for him to enter the lobby. But I want to thank you guys again for your viewership throughout this 2025-2026 season as we get going in the spring. Going to be a lot of fun as we head throughout this spring season. Women's basketball getting ready to wrap up, as are the men. The men will likely miss out on the USA South Conference tournament, but still a lot of good stuff from the men this year as they'll wrap up with Greensboro tomorrow and then North Carolina Wesleyan on Saturday for Senior Day. The women are second in the USA South, handed Southern Virginia its first conference loss here in 2026 as we wait for Cam Eisenhower. He's having a little bit of trouble logging into the show this evening. But as we keep going this evening, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. As we move throughout tonight's show, we'll talk to Donald Hudson here in a few moments as we talk about the women's basketball schedule and how they've done so far. Sorry, this is not great podcasting for me. I'm trying to work out some technical difficulties as we see if we can try and get Coach Hud to the show early this evening as we wait for Cam Eisenhower to join the show this evening. But again, really busy week, 2 lacrosse games, and men re-enter the field tomorrow to take on Point. It was a season opener for the Tornadoes as Cam seems to have joined the show. As we'll wait and see if we can get him going. Maybe some internet issues for Cam this evening. But really excited to talk to him about this program this season for the Tornadoes. As Cam looks to be in the lobby here. Let's see if we can get him going. Cam, do you got me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Okay, let me see.
It might be your camera might be off. Let's see if we can figure that out. So while we wait for Cam to join the show, we got a little image here. Still not seeing Cam. We'll wait on that. But again, yeah, big week coming up. The women's lacrosse team opens up with Montreat this week, and looking forward to that. The women's lacrosse team trying to build on a good season in which they finished above 500 last year. Let's see if we can get Cam in here. Cam, oh, we lost him again. So having a little bit of issues here with Coach Eisenhower. Let's try one more time. Got a little something there. Cam, you got me?
Yeah, I can't get the camera to work for some reason.
That's all right. We'll roll with the Cam. We got a good bit to talk about tonight. So welcome back to the show. I know it's been a while since we've talked, but a solid start to 2026 for you guys. 2 trips to the Tryon International to start this season. How did you feel those invitationals went for your team as a whole?
Overall, it went really good. We got to experience running on a bank track for some of us for the first time and jumping on elevated runways. And it was a really great experience to see some of our new athletes compete for the first time and showcase their skills and talents, and to see some of our returners show us what we knew that they could do. So,
yeah, so Jackson Wilkerson was one of those performers that did really well, but we'll talk about the facility at Tryon first. We talked about it earlier, how it's not the same as cross country, where if you go to a trail a second time, you have a huge advantage because you know the course pretty well. But how did that facility in Tryon kind of serve you guys the second time around, where you already know kind of the ins and outs of the whole thing?
it was really great. We knew how to run the curves, which are a little tight on a 12-degree bank track, and running on a runway that's not completely on the ground, that's elevated, really affects your stride and how you land and everything like that. So that was a good thing that we got to go back.
So I foreshadowed it a little bit with Jackson Wilkerson, but to say he had a great weekend would kind of be an understatement. He sets a USA South and program record in the triple jump this weekend and is tabbed USA South Athlete of the Week. We'll start with Jackson. How impressed are you with him, especially after a performance like this weekend?
Oh, I'm beyond impressed with how he performed. Not only his performance, but his leadership has been instrumental to the success of this team. As a former national qualifier, he's jumped over 14. Did not do that last year. So to open up his season with a 14.23 in the triple jump is pretty amazing. So I know we can definitely get that mark out there farther. And a great leap in the long jump 641 is still impressive, but doesn't overshadow his success in the triple. And then moving on to the hurdles, he ran a phenomenal race. He's currently number 2 in the conference in that event, and had a big PR in that event as well.
Yeah, so you talk about the leadership, and one of the young athletes, Tyrell Bailey, who was a freshman of the week earlier this season. Those two have kind of seemed to work in tandem in these certain events. How have you seen Jackson kind of take Tyrell under his wing and guide him young into his college career?
He's done a great job of showing him the ropes, showing him why we do what we do and how we do it properly, and getting in the right positions, and obviously challenging him, and being at that, competing at the highest level really helps, because he can show him how to get there and what he needs to do each day in order to prepare for that.
So Tyrell finished 8th in the triple jump, right behind Jackson Wilkerson, who finished 5th. Talk about his early career here at Brevard and how impressive he's been with being right there with the top individuals on this team.
He's an athlete, that's for sure. He's very talented, but he also works hard. He has great elastic strength, stiffness in his ankles that really helps him. He's a phenomenal triple jumper. He can long jump out there as well. I haven't really fully seen what he can do in long jump yet, but I know that's coming. He can soar in the high jump over 6 feet, and he also anchored our 4x4 relay and ran the fastest split. So multi-talented. He's going to have a full day at conference coming up, and overall he's a great asset to this program.
So Shea Granger earned a heat win in the men's 3,000 meter, placing 8th overall in that event. What'd you take away from his performance against a handful of Division II athletes?
Shea is one of those athletes who always puts himself in a position to be successful, which I'm very thankful for. We went out extremely fast and was leading most of the way, and then another athlete decided to join him, and then ultimately Shea decided to take the lead and never relinquish it until the end of the race, finishing first in his heat. 16-second PR is pretty impressive over that distance, and we're hoping this weekend we get into JDL in Winston-Salem and getting a faster heat where he can have some guys in front of him to chase.
So on the women's side, you also had a handful of impressive finishes, including a 27th place finish from Elizabeth Foster in the 60-meter hurdles, as well as Kinsley Burris-Whitesides placing 20th in the weight throw, just to name a few of those top finishers for your team. What were your main takeaways from the women's side and how they did in the second event?
The women did really well. We're a little thin compared to the men, but the power is still there. Elizabeth is a phenomenal hurdler with impressive form, and really delivered a standout performance this past weekend with a PR. And I was really excited to see all her hard work paid off. She's one of the hardest working athletes we have on the team. And then Kinsley, she's doing a great job of balancing women's lacrosse and women's track, and credit her success, obviously, to Coach McDonald and all he's doing to really elevate our programs even more than it has been in the past.
Well, Cam, thanks for joining us this evening as we look forward to the 2 events coming up this weekend. Talk a little bit about those before I let you sign off. What are you looking forward to about those 2 this weekend?
I'm looking forward to putting some final touches together as we prepare for conference next week. And on Saturday, it'll be exciting competing against half of the ACC, and really looking forward to that competition, bringing out the best in our athletes, as well as we strive to place high in the conference next week.
All right, Cam. Well, thanks for hopping on tonight despite some technical difficulties. Looking forward to having you back on soon.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate it.
All right, Cam. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, that is interim head track and field coach Cam Eisenhower as we recap a little bit about what he was talking about, just the success of Jackson Wilkerson setting that record for the USA South and Brevard, 5th place finish for him in that event in the triple jump, and Tyrell Bailey as well, just to name a few, for the Tornadoes this evening as I look forward to the events coming up this weekend as we wait for head coach Donald Hudson to join the show here in just a few moments. Again, we've had a couple of technical difficulties tonight, but trying to work through that as we get going this evening and wrap up the show with head coach Donald Hudson. A huge win for the Tornadoes this past weekend over Southern Virginia on the road to take down the Knights. As we'll welcome him in now, head coach of the Tornadoes women's basketball team, Donald Hudson. Hud, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Good. What's going on, Ryan? Thanks for having me on, man.
Same old over here, getting ready for a big week, including you guys in a couple games, senior day as well. But we'll start here. This past week, you had 2 big wins over Mary Baldwin and Southern Virginia, handing the Knights their first conference loss. What were some of your main takeaways from a really big week for your team overall?
I'll start with the Mary Baldwin game. You know, a game that was a makeup for us, and got a chance to play it at home. Had to play it at 2 p.m. on a Monday, so it was kind of off as far as like a scheduling standpoint, as far as playing the normal times, midweek and Saturday games. I think it was our 3rd game in 5 days, 3rd game in 6 days, something like that. I'll have to go back and look at the schedule, Ryan. Please forgive me for that. But I want to shout out my team. You know, I thought they did a really good job of keeping the main thing. You know, we had a few external circumstances that probably could have been excuses for not playing well in that game, but they did a good job.
So overall, you talk. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. You all good?
Yeah, all good now. All good.
Yeah, we're good. So talking about that Mary Baldwin game, the 2 p.m. start you mentioned on Monday, pretty unorthodox. You hadn't had one like that all year. To a certain extent, you expected a slow start, but how did you all overcome a little bit of a slow first quarter and kind of take that one from the reins?
Yeah, it took us the first 5 to 6 minutes of that game. I mean, it looked like a Monday at 2:00, Ryan, you know, but we got into our timeout huddles, and the halftime talk that we had, I thought was the biggest thing, you know, just getting ourselves to the point to where we were playing our brand of basketball, working our way into the game, playing really hard on defense, getting good shots offensively. And those things happened in the second half. It started to happen more so in the second quarter. But really in the third quarter, we really came out and took care of business and got a nice win at home.
So I was looking at the margins during that game, and the third quarter is by far and away the best quarter for the Tornadoes this year. That trend continued against Mary Baldwin, 29-11 in that quarter. Mary Baldwin caught fire a little bit near the end of the quarter. For a while, the margin was much wider. How have you all used the third quarter, not only in this game, but throughout the season to kind of build on the leads that you have going at halftime?
Yeah, I shouldn't say it's a culture thing, but it's definitely a part of our program. It's something that we really want to be good at. It's something we really emphasize it to have, coming in, talking, having like dialogue. It's not just me and Coach Britt and Coach Joe talking to the team. It's like an open conversation. Everybody's kind of saying what they're seeing. I'm hearing from the team. They get to hear from me. And then we make our adjustments and we go from there. And something that we try to do every game, something that we really pride ourselves on, is making the opposing team call that first timeout. Like if we get to the media timeout, okay, we have to take that one. But if their timeout needs to be called by a team or a coach, we want to make sure it's them making the timeout call. And it doesn't happen every game. But overall, for the most part this season, I think we've done a really good job of adjusting, knowing what we're adjusting to, personnel, scheme, whatever it may be, and coming out and doing a really good job in the third quarter. Hats off to the squad for that.
So you got what you're used to out of your starting 5 and even into the bench a little bit. But the big highlight to me from that game was a career high 11 points for Kennedy Gentry off the bench, 5 to 6 shooting in those handful of minutes that she's got. Talk about the performance from her and also the patience she's shown this season with some experience in front of her to really capitalize when she's given the opportunity.
Yeah. And it was really good to see her have that kind of scoring output where everybody else can see it. Like we get to see it in practice. Like we know what KG can do when she gets out there, and she does a really good job at it. But really good to see her play in front of the home crowd, in front of our bench, and getting some notoriety for it, you know, and it's a confidence boost, you know, and I know it's not easy to not know when your name is going to be called. But hats off to her for doing a really good job of staying ready. And in the moment when her number was called, she did the things that we've seen her do and the things we know she's capable of. But like you said, she has a lot of experience in front of her, but it's not anything she's complaining about. She's taking it day by day and doing a really good job of getting better every day, but being ready when her number was called. Really good to see that. Happy for the kid, for sure.
So moving forward to the weekend, you go to Southern Virginia, a team in which came here to the Bosch and beat you guys a couple weeks ago. But after that first matchup, you had some downtime due to weather. Might have been a good time to have it. I know you guys moved forward in practice for prep for other teams, but for you as a coach, that give you time to kind of look at this one and think about how you wanted to approach it the next time out.
Yes, it did. It just having that amount of time to just look at us and look around the league a little bit, I think it was good for me for sure. It wasn't just Southern Virginia that I kind of hammered in on. Kind of took a look at everybody. You know, we had some time and saw some things that we could have done better, and I saw some things that we can do better with other opponents as well. And we used that time wisely. You know, we still used our practice time as if we were playing. You know, we were still scouting opponents and going over certain actions and talking about how we want to guard things or how we want to attack certain people. So it wasn't where we just kind of took the week off or anything like that. I mean, I think that was really beneficial for the group. Trying to keep us in as much game feel as possible. You know, so we didn't change a ton with practice. You know, we went about it the same way we would as if we were playing those games. And I think that really helped the squad.
So when you guys have won this season, you've done so convincingly. They've been some big blowout wins this season. And you really haven't had too many games like this one at Southern Virginia where it's tight all the way through and you pull away at the end. How important was it for you as a coach as you approach the postseason where, you know, most games, if not all of them, are going to be very tightly contested, to see your team do this in a hostile environment against a team that hadn't lost in the conference all year? How encouraging was that for you to see out of your team?
Yeah, it was encouraging, yes, but the things that we did in that game, Ryan, it wasn't surprising to me. You know, I know the things that this team is capable of, but not being in such close games here recently, I do think playing one really close and finding a way to win it will be a huge confidence boost for the team. You know, and Southern Virginia is a really good team, and that's a tough building to go win in. And we played well throughout the game. I think our defense was the thing that led us. Offense was hit or miss at times. We had some nice scoring runs throughout the game at different parts of it, but I thought our defense was really good. And they came back, and I want to say they took a lead around 3.5 minutes. You know, and we called our timeout. Everybody kind of looked at each other in the huddle, and we kept our poise. And we made some plays down the stretch, and we were able to come out with a big win. Really encouraged by it for sure. I think the biggest thing that comes from it is a confidence boost for our team. You know, knowing that we can go into that building and get a win, you know, and play well, you know, and I'm really, really happy for the group and felt good about it after the game, man. Really nice locker room after the game.
So throughout this season, when someone that you've come to expect to perform doesn't, you know, have the best day offensively, you've had somebody else step up. And this afternoon, it was Alacia Hill who came through with a season-high 14 points to help propel you guys to victory. How big was she scoring the ball, which she's really more of a facilitating guard, but she stepped up big time for this team. How big was she in this matchup?
Yeah. And anybody that keeps up with our social media, they'll see that Lay won the Tornado Toughness Player of the Game. You know, and I thought she did a really good job of coming in and doing the things that Alacia Hill does. That's impacting us defensively, really, really bothering the ball, making the other guards kind of uncomfortable a little bit. And when it comes to the offensive side, like you said, she's a really good facilitator. But when she's left open and has an opportunity to score, she can do that as well. I thought the kid played a really complete game. You know, one of the better games that I've seen her play this year. And it took some mental, like being in a good place mentally to do that. Like 2 games ago, she came out of the starting lineup. We were kind of looking at some things differently, but she kept herself in a good mental place. And similar to what I was just talking about with Kennedy Gentry, she was ready when her number was called. And we don't win that game if Alacia Hill doesn't play the minutes in the way that she plays.
So I'll take this really only real negative from this game and kind of turn it into a positive here. But 25 offensive rebounds for Southern Virginia. They were really working on the glass that afternoon, but 22 second chance points, good amount of second chance points, but could have been a lot worse on those offensive rebounds. How did you guys buckle in defensively on a day that Southern Virginia was getting basically everything that fell off the iron?
And the first half, I want to say they had 15. So we came into the locker room and like, ladies, this can't happen again. We can't go another half giving up 15 offensive rebounds. So we didn't give up 15, but we did give up another 10. But the thing about that team is like they're big. It's a big group, and some of their players are definitely, even if you're boxing out, you could be in the right spot, but they're going to tip the ball around, and that's what we were struggling from some in the first half. So that was the main point of emphasis. Actually, that's the only thing we talked about at halftime. There was not a ton of things to adjust to. I mean, if we needed to adjust to something, we would talk about it in the halftime huddle, but we really emphasized the importance of everybody going to rebound. Everybody's got to go. We can't just put this on our 4 and our 5 and expect them to get every one when they're dealing with this kind of size down there. So everybody has to go, and we didn't give up 15, but I'm still not happy about the 10 giving up. But giving up 25 offensive rebounds in a game and to a team of that caliber and still finding a way to win, I think that says a lot about the group that I have in the locker room.
So these 3 remaining games, this is probably exactly the slate that you wanted to have as a team that's getting ready for the postseason and will probably host a game or two in the USA South Conference tournament. You play 2 teams that are in the top 5 of the USA South, and the other one is Greensboro, who obviously plays that insane style of basketball that we saw here at the Bosch. How do you use this stretch against 2 quality teams and a Greensboro team who has won some games in the conference and also does something that's very unorthodox in this conference?
Yeah. We have 3 tough ones coming up, and we know that. Like, that was something we talked about today, taking every game for what it is, this own game. Like, we can't look past Southern Virginia on to Pfeiffer. We can't look past Pfeiffer on to North Carolina Wesleyan on senior night. We had a good practice today, and now we have to go to Greensboro tomorrow and try to be our best at taking care of the basketball. That's what that one's going to come down to. And probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a conversation with the team before one of our practices, and we really wanted to switch our mindset to start thinking playoff basketball right now. Let's not wait until 2 weeks or a week left or a couple of games left to try to get into that mode. So it's something that we've been aware of and something that we've tried to take into every practice and into every game. But there's no better way to get ready for the tournament than to play some really good basketball teams down the stretch. And each team will pose its own set of challenges. These are 3 really good teams. Greensboro's coming into this game, I want to say winners of 3 out of their last 4, at least 2 out of their last 3 for sure, and with a chance to win this past weekend at William Peace. So they're playing some good basketball. We know we have our hands full, and we're ready to roll.
So lastly, you talked about senior night. You recognized 4 on Saturday. Jada Petty-Wilkins, Christina Roan, Olivia Miller, and Skylar Pettibone. All 4 have had impacts on the program, I'm sure, in their own way. Talk about their impact for not only this program, but for you as a head coach and what you look for in your athletes.
Yeah, all four of them have done something or meant something to me personally in their own way. Like, the basketball stuff kind of speaks for itself. Everybody gets to watch them play. We've seen the things that Jada, Christina, and Olivia can do for multiple years now. This is our first year with Sky, but everybody's kind of seen what they can do on the basketball court. What we don't get to see as much is how they impact the locker room. The things they do when they come by on a random Tuesday at 11 o'clock just to pop in my office and say, what's up? Like today, I was over in the library getting some work done, and I missed Christina Roan 5 times. She told me she came by my office 5 times today, and I felt so bad about that. But I was just across campus in one of the study rooms getting the scouting report ready for tomorrow. But just the things that they've done outside of basketball, the things you miss the most, Ryan. We'll continue on playing. We'll have another team next year and a team after that. But just not having them in the locker room and not having them on the road trips and seeing them every day, those are the things you miss the most as a coach when your players get to this point. And it always comes faster than you think. It's always gets you faster than you think. But those are the things we'll miss the most from those 4 for sure.
All right, Hud. Well, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. Good luck tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week as you wrap up the regular season.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, man. Have a good night.
Talk to you later. See ya. That is head coach of the women's basketball team, Donald Hudson, to wrap us up tonight. The women are a big part of this crazy week that we have ahead. Again, all home events will be streamed live on YouTube, free for your enjoyment, and that will be a busy platform this week as we start tomorrow with men's lacrosse at 3 o'clock against Point. Then the men's team takes on Greensboro at 7, and then we move throughout the rest of the week. That will be just as crazy, but just as fun as we look forward to talking to you throughout the week. Handful of events coming up. We'll wrap up the men's and women's basketball regular season, have a couple of cross games. Baseball continues It's Hot start against Capital. And then we'll have the softball season opener as well on Sunday in that doubleheader against Johnson and Wills. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in and sticking with us. I know I had to ramble for a little bit, some technical difficulties, but the show goes on here on Tornado Talk. So for Ryan Wilkes, signing off, my producer, Will Finney, thanks for joining us this evening. We'll talk to you next week here live on Tornado Talk.